I call to order the December 15th, 2021 meeting of Fair Oaks Board of Directors. Jennifer, please call the roll.
Chair O'Farrell.
Here.
Vice Chair Irwin.
Here.
Director Carhart.
Here.
Director Mount.
Here.
Director Manny. Here. All present.
All present. Pledge of Allegiance. Katie, did you close
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Presentations, proclamations, and recognition. We can forego the first one. Let's do the next two.
Well, I guess that's I'll take this first one. And, Director O'Farrell, Chairman O'Farrell, it's been a pleasure having you as a chair this year. You kind of transitioned us out of COVID, or out of these restrictions. Some of the restrictions of COVID actually was the first meeting. And what I wanted to also commend you for more than anything else is just your stableness and your dedication to the district. It's honorable, very honorable. I know you're committed to the district and what we do. I sincerely appreciate that. Thanks.
Okay, let's move on.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I forgot the board part. And for that, we have black your pension.
I like this better than Chris. This is
Very nice.
That's very, very nice.
And we do have some.
We do have some
refreshments.
Cupcake I can bring in.
Wow. We got them around.
You got the champagne, right?
Just pile them
Take one down,
all in
pass
front
it
of
around.
Yeah, kind of.
We didn't make it because they didn't go any further. James and I will eat them all.
Make sure that our friends and guests get some of the gel. I'm gonna have a try.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I might be in hallway.
Be on the board with a vote.
Yes, I can see where this is going.
Later.
You guys have to fight?
I'm always going in. Thank you.
I think
Put it right back on.
Oh, I'm gonna skip these.
I'm gonna skip from that.
I'll take
a video.
Okay.
That's why you guys look so much better than me. I took
Thanks, Rob.
yours. Took yours. Anybody else?
All right.
Thank you. You gotta finish them up.
All right.
so. In response to the recognition, I would like to also say that I appreciate the cooperation of all the board members. Everybody is all pulled together. It's been a tough year, like last year was. So, and the staff, appreciate the staff as well. So, having said that, right next, but not real said, not yet. Okay, 4.2 is presentation on the village park renovation county. This sounds like deja vu.
Well, maybe a little more in depth this time. We got a request from Director Carhart to, to just review with the board the permitting process that we've had to go through and have gone through for the village project. I took the liberty of printing out these packets because I didn't think that even if we displayed it on the screen, you'd be able to read it. And you'll see that just on the cover sheet there. How small the print gets. This spreadsheet represents the various permits that we have to pull just for the village project. And this is just for construction. There are other permits that we pull for things like the demolition or the right-of-way abandonment. We even had to pull planning permit before the architects even got started. So across the top are the number of the permits and the respective portions of the work they cover, the permit number, just a brief summary of the fees, in summary that the district is paid or is going to pay. Down the left column is all of the departments required by Sacramento County for which a permit might have to go through. Now, every department on the left doesn't apply to every permit, with the possible exception of the amphitheater. The amphitheater has the most requirements it has to go through for approval. Okay. You'll see that I've colored the boxes in the matrix, and the blue box means that it's a requirement that has not been met, but yet cannot be met until we go through construction or finish construction for that matter. Those will be found out at the end, and then the permit will be satisfied. The ones in orange are the ones that we have to meet and comply with prior to being allowed to pull the permit for the project. And you can see, like I said, that gets quite small. So what I did on the second page is I took a couple of the simpler, well, one of the simplest ones, and then the amphitheater and the clubhouse, and I blew it up. And I put it into a portrait mode so you can see it a little more clear. And like I said, the amphitheater has to go through the modes. And sometimes it's as simple as they won't sign off on the permit or let us pull the permit until we award the contract to a licensed general contractor. Okay. That will satisfy one of these boxes. As we go through construction, if we have what they call a special inspection, like structural concrete or framing or something like that, once that inspection has taken place, it will satisfy another box, perhaps on one of these permits, and so on and so forth. So you get an idea of what we've gone through, and it's been a year. We're coming up on a year in a couple of weeks. We are very close. We expect I think it's the third round of comments out of County SIPS is the main, and that stands for SIPS is a controlling entity. Once all the plans go in through SIPS, and SIPS is site of improvement and permit section. So they disperse or they delineate what the other departments we have to go, that project has to go through based on the scope of that those drawings. We expect the third round of comments from SIPS on December 23rd, which we will then have to, the architect will then respond to. And hopefully at that point, they're so simplistic, it will be a relatively quick, what they call back check. And hopefully at that point, we'll be cleared to start the bid process. So again, there are a couple of outliers that we still don't know how to address. One of them is they've applied some of the requirements erroneously. So we're still trying to get that cleared through the county to have that requirement removed. But a combination of, well, mainly because of COVID, it's just a little tougher to get some of these things clarified in a timely manner.
It's kind of, I'm still stuck on the first page, but what's
Sure.
kind of intriguing to me is that you've got 3 different retaining walls, and you need 3 different permits to do 3 different retaining walls.
Yes, that is,
That is, I don't think.
we did not,
We
obviously,
should get a copy of this with some kind of a narrative, you know, that dissects and chops it and said, you know, this is bullshit. I'm sorry, this is outrageous.
I agree with you. We've never seen anything like this, where we've had to pull a permit for every structural element on a given project. On this one, obviously, we have numerous. And obviously, we should have had, we expected a minimum of 3, obviously, 1 for each building and 1 for.
Right, I mean, the major structures, for sure, I mean, you think that everything else should umbrella, underneath that.
Exactly. Exactly. Especially when you're talking about, the same design, so.
I just wanted, if I can,
Absolutely.
I want to know just on how to pay for this stuff. It is the most cumbersome system that I've ever experienced, and it's not the county's fault. It is COVID's for that, because before you had the ability to pay. The other issue for us is that we're an independent district, but the county runs our finance and catch up checks. So I get a permit requirement fee, and I can't pay with the credit card direct. I've got to go through the portal, and then to do that, I'm charged 2.3% or something like that. And you can do the math. 2.3%, I got 58,000 paid tomorrow. So just the finance start chewing the law. There is no way for us to write a check in a reasonable time frame, because we have to request the check from the county. They have to give it to us. We have to give it back to them. And that's our issue because of how we do our finance.
Well, I mean, so every other independent special district is faced with the same stuff.
Yes, dependent, they are. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Most of them are not built.
But some of the independent ones that have their own finances, they can cut a check.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Very sad.
so Dave, if you add up all these figures on the top line there, the top boxes.
Yeah.
And then add the 58 that's still due to the amphitheater, is that going to be our total fees pretty much?
Almost,
Few more things.
pretty
So
much, yeah.
what does that come to in Grand Village?
So what I've done is, so this is, like I said, this is the whole ball of wax here.
Yeah.
And you can see at the bottom, this strip right here, where I've tallied all the fees. I took that and I blew that up for the last 2 pages. So if I took the last two pages and you held them side by side like that, that would be a blow up of that bullet bottom section.
Okay.
All the way to the right, bottom right corner, you got $127,000, $126,986. That's what you pay or will pay.
And does that includes the 58?
That includes the 58, correct.
And that's only permit fees, it's not what we're paying.
Oh, yes. And that's,
Just.
That's just the fees.
Not all of the back and forth.
Yeah. the hourly rates.
well, and then it turns out that the county SIPS department also invoices directly to the district a bill for some of their hourly fees. And again, it's not associated with any one of these permits, but it's just an overall plan review, document review fee. And I think we've received about $5,000 total between the two.
Yeah, I'll get one more.
Okay, so, and I don't know when that stops. Does that stop when we get our permits? Does that stop when we file foreclosure and for the final permit approvals at the end of the job? We're not really sure.
Yeah, and the low price for that is $204.
So
Up to 310, I think, an hour. Right up there.
So the second issue on this is not just the amount of the permit fees, but the duration of time. Are you going to address that a little more?
Yes, we will incur, and it's typical to incur fees, inspection fees and things like that, depending on how many times the inspector has to go out. If the contractor calls for an inspection and fails, and the inspector has to come back with the bill. So obviously that we can't manage until we get into construction.
No, I was speaking about the time frame on the design review.
Okay, what's your question?
Well, there's all these costs associated with the different permit fees. But the time frame of doing this, can you address
Sure.
difficulties or whatever with the time frame?
Sure. Like I said, we started this process in December of 2020. We're in December of 2021. We likely, with a little luck, will be done with the primary portion of the permitting process in January of 2022. We can then go out to bid, and again, once we disperse, award to a licensed contractor and meet some of these other requirements, some of these other requirements of the building, the permits will be met. So all of this is monitored through the job by us, the contractor, and of course, the county and the architects, but the architects help, for sure. And again, the fees, like I said, inspection fees, that's expected. Any other fees beyond that would be a surprise as far as any of these permits go. Now, the only exception to that one is on the clubhouse. We deferred doing the abatement, the hazmat abatement in the clubhouse to when we award this job, because we were going to have to destructively test it, destructively sample and abate, which would allow the clubhouse in a unsafe manner. Okay, we would have to pull walls. So when you have a hazmat abatement, they make us pull a couple other permits. One of them is an air quality permit. Those fees won't be assessed until we know how many times they have to come out and inspect. So when we file, NTEC is our hazmat consultant. They'll file their air reports and their test reports. And then when we file for our closeout of that Sacramento air quality permit, we will get another bill. So that's one of the few exceptions.
Those are essentially like construction.
Correct. In fact, we did that on the demo project as well. We demoed, we abated the tenant building. We abated the existing, what was the old amphitheater. We cut a change order to the contractor because he went ahead and paid the fees when he filed his forms. It was just a lot faster to do it that way. Rather than go to your SAC air quality, they give us a number, we come back, we cut a check, we take it back. You know, it's just faster. I just asked them to take care of it and we will pay them through the change order process. What we did.
So my comments, looking at the fees for the magnitude of the project, they don't seem terribly unreasonable.
No,
I think the thing that we have to answer to a lot is why it's taking so long, and Mike's saying that that's more COVID than it is county.
I think it's a little of both. I think if I had the two architects, they could tell you some stories. I know, for example, on the site, the county is making us do a couple things that weren't anticipated when, typically you approach a project like this. Sacramento County is making us repave streets halfway to the center line. They're making us do some of the improvements to some of the crosswalks at the main intersections as part of the project, which, in all fairness, a lot of cities and a lot of counties kind of try to pile in some of their scope of work and burden the contractor, it happens.
Yeah.
On the building side, the one thing that really took us by surprise was the fire sprinkler requirements. Typically on a new building or an existing building, so let's take the new building, the new amphitheater. By code, it has to be fire sprinkler. Typically what happens on a construction project is that portion of the job is bid out in the construction documents to a specific design build fire sprinkler certified contractor. Every general contractor knows this, they expect it. And what happens is once they award the job, that contractor becomes responsible to design, submit to the county, get approval, and then build. Okay. In this project, they wouldn't let us do that. They wanted a fully designed sprinkler system to go in with the permanent drawings, which meant now we had to do that design work instead of deferring it to the contractor. So we had to pay the architect to hire a certified fire sprinkler design it, and do the permanent process.
So we'll make sure the contractor knows that's already taken care of.
Oh, you bet.
You bet it in. Well, John may remember this, but I think we were the victim about 35 years ago of a scam fire sprinkler company. You remember that? Yeah. Yeah, it was a scandal. We were just one of the victims.
Any other questions about the permits or the fees or the process?
Well, the good news is we're at the end, right? Hopefully.
So,
Right?
yes. and so are the architects. They've been pretty good. But they forced their way through. So.
Perfect. Are we good?
Well, the next thing I had asked this morning was, and if you don't have it, that's fine. I wanted to see the totals on the three projects, the amphitheater, the clubhouse, and the grounds. What our total design fees have been. I'm interested in that if they have it.
What Katie's passing out is just, so what happens is, in our house is we monitor the architects' contracts. We review their invoices, approve their invoices before we send it over to Mike and say, yeah, they did this work, it's okay to pay it. We also control any kind of ad service that they might have. For example, hiring a fire protection engineer added to their scope. So what you have is, we track all of that in a project scope statement file. So we have all the costs in one file, so we can compare it to the budget. So what you have there is what our tracking is on each, on two architects across three projects. So the first sheet is Callis, so they're the landscape architect for the site work. The second page is WMB architects for the amphitheater, and the third page should be the WMB architects for the clubhouse renovation. You can see the original contract amount respectively up in the upper left. The change orders that we've issued to their scopes to date, and the total amount that we're using to encumber the budget. And then below that, the various invoice dates and amounts, the work periods, and then at the bottom is the balance on the POs, the respective.
Tell me again, what was the original budget amount? Is that where it says encumbered?
Encumbered, yeah.
Okay, that was the original estimate.
Yeah.
572. What scope was removed?
So when, yeah, good point. When Callis contract, their project scope was first developed, there were some ramps and some other things where it's right where the line is between the work that Cal was doing on the sidewalk and the walkways and the ramps and the stages to the buildings. And that transition point was critical. So they held on to that, but as we got into design, we thought, well, that's better if WMB just takes care of all of that. So we removed that chunk out of their scope. And because it was almost duplicated in WMB's. So we saved a few bucks there. And I know those change order descriptions are kind of cryptic. They're just notes there to remind us, realize we have the full narrative of the change, the justification, and the backup on each change order in our products.
So the original estimate under encumbered was a number that was supposed to cover the design costs.
Correct, for that
the
respect.
change orders are design work as a result of permit issues.
Issues that arose, yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you for doing this.
You bet. You bet. It was easy to do. We had it, we monitored constantly, so it's just a matter of printing. No problem.
I'll bet Mike and staff are glad they're doing all this stuff. It was a good move.
I got enough work, just doing my part.
This is why somebody crazy if it wasn't their professional.
Anything else?
Any questions I can answer? Not necessarily about the permits or the architect's fees on the project.
Thank you.
No problem, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item 4.3, presentation on Zoom meeting analytics.
And I am going to have Ian do this, because he's our Zoom moderator and keeps track of all of the stuff that happens with our board meetings. And I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
All right. Hello, my name is Ian. I am the admin assistant in the admin department.
So just to kind of go over this, so we've been doing virtual board meetings for a while now. We're going to cover meetings from January of this year to November, since we are in the middle of December. So just to kind of give you a quick update on this, I mean, we are broadcasting this out to Facebook Live right now, and we are also available on Zoom, so participants can attend either way or watch later on in Facebook. Just a quick clip from one of our.
Here.
Director Carhart,
Yeah.
Director Mount,
Here.
Director Manny. Here. Let the record reflect, Director, or Vice Chair O'Farrell. Chair O'Farrell is absent.
That's correct. So in his absence, I will be stepping in as chair this evening. So we'll move on to 4. Do we have?
Great. So that's, yeah, just a quick video of what's going out there already. You might see that it looks a little weird because it's off to the side. That's just the way Zoom broadcasts out to Facebook. So here you'll see that we have, these are the views for per month. Just a note, in January, that meeting was canceled, so there is no meeting there. And April and June, we actually had to re-upload those videos to Facebook. So their view counts are much lower than compared to the rest of the year. But you can kind of get a sense of it. They're not huge in terms of views. They're never going to be like a meme view or something that's gone viral on the internet, of course. But it just goes to show that people are watching. And it looks like September is our biggest with close to 500 views.
So what was on the agenda that month?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well, it'd be interesting to correlate that.
Yeah, that would be interesting. The overall minutes, so this is just how long people have watched. So in February and May, we get to close to 500 minutes, and which is pretty good compared to the rest of the year. And again, April and June are really low because it didn't record any info from the live stream itself. And June, we weren't able to live stream, so those numbers didn't get added in. Yeah, just a quick overview of that. And then overall, we've had 1,700 people view all the videos. Peak views, peak live views is 61, and that includes all the videos together. So a number of times we've had anywhere from 6 to 10 people watching a video while it's live. So you're getting feedback instantly, or as that goes. Reactions. So people likes, loves, dislikes, all that. No dislikes, luckily, but there are 40 of those, so it just shows that people are interacting. And a little over 3,000 minutes total watched, which equates to about 50 hours. So just kind of things to take home. People are watching it, which is good. It's great. We want our board meetings to go out to the public and people to watch it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions?
No, but this is really good information. It really is. And, where are we storing all of these files?
Currently, we're storing them internally, and they are on Facebook to watch at any point in time.
Will Facebook keep them then indefinitely?
As far as I know, yes, they will. But we have the physical recordings of them, so they are stored forever.
Yeah.
As long as we don't have any issues.
So are we still doing, sound recordings of the meetings, right?
No.
Well,
We just
stop
have
doing
video
that with
recordings.
this, okay.
It's included in the video.
Yeah.
So video and audio is all being recorded.
For years, we did the audio. Do we keep those?
Still have all those old tapes.
Do we keep all of those, or do we use?
We got rid of most of the ones that are on cassette tapes. They were no good anymore anyway.
They were stored in an outside bin, some of them, so they last.
It'd be fun to listen to some of the really old ones.
We still have a lot of the older ones. I don't know exactly how
You
long
probably still
ago.
have some room in your library. Take
Yeah.
a whole collection, little bit.
I'll put them in a candy jar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and from an operational side, at least for me, I don't think the staff have done this, but there's times a day later, I'll go back and go, what did we do? What am I supposed to do here? And so I'll give you 5 minutes to quickly check on, make sure I'm going in the right direction from the board director. So it works great for my operational side.
It also provides more staff interaction. I just want to throw that out. My staff has watched on Facebook more this year than they've ever come in person, because when they come in person, well, we pay them. So when they want to watch at home at their own leisure, they do, and they do watch. So
Yeah.
that's their choice. And then they text me later, way to go, or epic fail. But either way, they're watching, which is involvement of staff to see what's going on. So.
Exactly. Thanks,
As
Ian.
a historian, I found it very interesting to go back and read the first couple of years of minutes before. It's very fascinating. You know, the historical value of having things that are selective, you know, when we make big decisions like the bond and stuff like that.
Exactly. Okay, item number 5, audience public comment, non-agenda items. Any person may address the board upon any subject within the jurisdiction of Fair Oaks Recreation Park District. Each speaker is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Any matter requiring board action will be referred to staff or committee for report and action in a subsequent meeting. Do we have anyone in that would like to comment?
No, it does not look like anybody is.
Okay, so Garrett, good enough. Okay. Okay, moving on. Motion to approve the agenda. Please moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 7, consent calendar. Questions, comments, concerns? Motion to approve the consent calendar. Looking for a second? Second. Okay, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And I roll. Okay. Let's see, item 7. That's unfinished business. 8.1, continued from the November 17th, 2021 Fair Oaks regular park board meeting, discussion and possible action on purchase of property at 10940 Fair Oaks Boulevard, Fair Oaks, California, to be used as district office.
So we've discussed this, and I think last meeting you all wanted to continue it to this meeting. I did check with Mr. Maddock, who's on the Zoom call here, about the property still potentially being available. And from the last communication I had with Mr. Maddock, it was still available. I don't know if he has any different news than what I got from about 3 or 4 days ago.
If I could interject,
Yeah, Ford?
I did talk to the listing agent, Connor Finch, today to get an update on the property. He's the listing agent. He said that there is a buyer in contract on the property, and he does want us to put in a backup offer. So if we put in an offer right now, it would be a backup offer. The current buyer is a what is called a 1031 exchange buyer. So that buyer is selling another rental to buy this property to avoid capital gains. But that makes the listing agent a little nervous because sometimes the 1031 buyers see something else, another property, and they pull the plug on their offer and go for a different property. So right now, as it stands, there is an offer in. The listing agent would like a backup offer, but that's the current situation. I just talked to the listing agent today.
Mike, is that a full asking price offer?
He will not tell me what the offer is. He did say it's not full price, but the impression he gave me was that it's very close to full price. And he's recommending we make a full price offer. But of course, we do whatever we want to do, of course.
So what we're looking for, any kind of dialogue you all want now, and then if the action items kind of remain the same, they're not interested in pursuing the purchase of the Woodmont property, you're interested in pursuing the purchase of the Woodmont property, and then you would schedule a special meeting to discuss making an offer on that purchase. And then the finance piece, I think, if we were to make an offer, if I have read the board correctly, you would be interested in selling the cell tower leases to finance that purchase, if you did decide to make it. So that's kind of where we're at with it now. I can answer
But
questions.
my recollection was also that even if we don't want to buy the property, we still want to sell.
And
Cell tower.
cell tower use. And the way the cell tower industry is going, that's probably a good move. My one recommendation, since I haven't put anything really together on that option, is would be to make certain that we're not doing that we use the money for something that we can replace that 7,000 a month revenue. That we're not going to lose just 7,000 a month in revenue and then spend that money from the cell tower sale on something that will not create some opportunity for that.
That's a good point.
I just don't want to go to the hole.
That's something we could direct staff to decide what we could do.
Yes.
So Mike, I've noticed that this has been characterized in the discussions as buying the building for our district office. And my take on this is that it's a little more than the district office. We're posing ourselves or positioning ourselves to have additional space for future needs for various programs or district associated uses, preschool, whatever. There's concern that I have too, that we don't want to be in a permanent rental business. We either need the space or we don't, and that's part of the equation here. And the other factor I see is this property is one of the cheapest per square foot comparables, if it's not the cheapest. And I'm not sure if you know how much the cost for new construction of that much space would be. Do you have any idea there?
Not at all.
Probably a lot more.
I think what residential, they're figuring about
I mean,
300 a square foot now.
The issues for me are, do we really need the space? Do we want to move out of the village? Do we want to be in the rental business? Do we think that we can rent all 5 spaces? It has a poor track record of being fully occupied. So maybe that's why it's so inexpensive.
Well, and I think, again, if we're talking about the need of space, we just need space, it doesn't mean you have to buy a building. There's nothing that says we couldn't potentially lease our spaces, right? There's space that we could lease, and I'm sure we could get a good deal. So why buy the whole space, the whole building if we don't need it? Because to both of your points, we're not in the business to be landlords here. And, I think it would make more sense to potentially look if we need space into leasing, pursuing the lease, and then on a total separate thing, selling the cell tower. I'm still very much in favor of that and having that money from that, especially at the time right now. It's high. It's probably going to be going down. It's a good time to look into pursuing that. That's my feeling.
My number one question is just, why would we want to move out of such a centrally located position in the village? Like we are, especially with everything that's going on, we're going to have space in the clubhouse, we're going to have space in the amphitheater for doing programs and things like that. And to have our staff and have our district's, front door right there in the middle of it all, I think is super valuable. And, I understand that, there's thoughts of, well, maybe we should let somebody that's more imperative to the area move into that space. I just don't see that happening. It's not built to be a restaurant. You're going to get another CPA or law firm or something that's going to move in there, and then that's not going to be, an improvement to it. So there's a lot of issues if I really want to dig in, but that's the number one crux of my question is why? Why would we want to give up that location?
And looking down the road, 5, 10, 15 years from now, if La Vista does get into our hands, which it may have the entire school. And that may be an opportunity for offices there, district offices there. That's obviously not the village and further removed from the village. So just keeping that in consideration as well, that it's a direction that we've talked about or discussed as a possibility.
if La Vista does present itself to us for a purchase from the school district. In regards to revenue, I do, it is not uncommon for a public entity like a park district to lease out property. It does happen constantly. Golf course is a great example of that. You will see those leases out there. You will see leases for concessions on a regular basis in large sports complexes. So it is something that does happen. Not a lot, but it does happen, and it's common enough for us to be capable of doing something similar to that. I understand the hesitation behind it. It does give us a little opportunity for some revenue there. We have a 5-year lease currently. There's another, I think it's a 2 or 3 year lease. So for about 3,400 in revenue, potentially one more rent in there, would get us into that replacement of the 7,500 or 7,900 for the cell tower lost revenue. So those are excellent points. From a need for space in terms of leasing, going out and renting more space, I would be, I'd have to really look into that from a fiscal point of view for us. Putting out more money that we, instead of replacing revenue, we can spend more money. So we sell towers and then lease more space. We're putting out more money.
Well, I mean, I think looking at the current situation, in commercial real estate, it's a much better position to be the leasee than the lessor.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of deals out there.
Well, speaking the voice of my father, who was a developer and real estate broker, you buy when things are low. So the market for something like this is really good for commercial space right now. A couple of years ago, I think most of you guys were on here when I kind of dragged the board kicking and screaming into making the plunge to go for bond issue. I think that was over the administration's recommendation, but we did it, and I think it's important. Having been 2 decades on this board, I think we need to grow the district. We need to be prepared for the future. We've had board members like Ramey Osborne that got frustrated here just overseeing a stagnant organization. And it'd be really cool if in the interim, when we have additional rental space, do it to something that is recreation oriented so that it feeds off of our activity there. As you might tell, I'm a strong advocate for making a plunge on this and think ahead. We're going to need to build space for other things. We talked about maybe expanding pre-K, pre-K stuff in the future. This is an opportunity to buy already constructed space at a bargain price rather than, having to spend the money for fees and permits to build something in the future. So, and if we moved our facilities, our office facilities over to the school, that's really remote from the center of Fair Oaks, the center of gravity in Fair Oaks. So I'm not really thrilled about that either. This has a prominent location, fairly central to Fair Oaks. And, like the others, I would like to sell the cell towers right now while the getting's good. I would prefer not to sell our district office, to look at that for maybe some other use. Hang on to it. If we're going to rent something, rent that. Hang on to that.
Yeah, I 100% agree that I would not be in favor of selling our current building. I have to disagree when we say it's a prominent location. I don't think it is. I think it's a bad location. I think it's adjacent to just a lot of crime, and bringing things into that. I don't like that location. I would be against maybe something coming up down the road that's more centrally located in a different location. But the location doesn't make sense to me either.
Addressing the crime thing, I have access to a lot of crime stuff in my own home. The village is a big center of crime in Fair Oaks. It's one of the toughest places break-ins, and auto break-ins and things like that.
Ralph, if you feel strongly about it, why don't you make a motion?
Well, it may be a little premature, but
I don't think so.
Okay, so this will be, we've kicked this guy on for quite a while now.
so the nature of the motion then would be to proceed through our broker to make an offer that would match or if necessary exceed the offer that the owners already have to purchase the property. So
But we don't know what that offer is, so we have to make the full.
figure it'd be the full estimate.
Oh, no, I guess that would be a separate meeting.
Yes.
So we're only, so your motion would be to enter into negotiation.
Yes, and I would also preference it just because if I'm hearing you all right, that we would enter into a special meeting to consider making an offer for that property using contingent on the sale of the cell towers.
Okay,
So it's kind of a twofold. You may not be able to come to terms on making an offer, but you are saying if we were to make an offer, it would be contingent on the sale of the cell towers.
Jennifer, did you capture what Mike said? Then I will make that my motion. Here, John, are you asking for a second or are we assuming there's no second?
yes, is there a second?
I make a motion to approve sale of the cell tower.
I'll second that one.
Can I just check procedurally, should that be an agendized item? We're not in a rush to do that. I think we should maybe put it on the January agenda, since it is such a large decision. That would be all right.
I guess this was probably discussed in detail in our last meeting, which I was thinking for. Okay, yeah, I would like a little bit more information on that.
On the sale of towers.
Yeah.
I can get more, I can get the official board report.
Do you need anything else on that?
Okay. Item 9.1, monthly Fair Oaks.
So can I clarify, is that issue then, Guy, at this point, we drop out? Okay.
Mike can always bring it back, or you can ask to have it brought back.
You all can bring it back too.
Sure, exactly. So most monthly Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board report. I think Rachel is with us. I see her.
Yeah.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Lee, the chair of the Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board. Before I get started, on behalf of FOIAB, we wanted to give a special thanks to members on the board who have given us a generous donation. It's been a huge help this year, especially in being able to provide prizes, supplies, funds for events. So we're extremely thankful for a supporting board. That being said, at our recent meeting, FOIAB members have put together hygiene bags, and we donated that to the Orangeville Food Bank. We've provided packages filled with items like toothbrushes, first aid kits, deodorant, and so forth. In addition, all our members also have created several handmade holiday cards to distribute at Eschaton and Oakmont Senior Living Center. They turned out amazing. It was so fun and decorative. It was really nice. And then a couple weeks ago, members also volunteered at the holiday tree lighting event. FOIAB ran a booth. We passed out prizes, holiday cheer, super fun. And then we're continually serving at the Orangeville Food Bank, the Food Bank Farm and Grange on a monthly basis. And as for upcoming events for FOIAB, we're inviting you and the community on a hunt for Santa's helpers throughout the Fair Oaks Parks. There will be elves hidden from December 19th to the 25th. The elf scavenger hunt map will be accessible on the 19th on the Fair Oaks Recs and Parks District website. There you can find which park has the elves hiding. So make sure to go check that out. And that is about it for right now for FOIAB. And as we're heading into the new year, we can't wait for more opportunities and events. And we wish everyone a happy holidays. Is there any question?
For sure. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
We have an Instagram.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not-
Yeah, our Instagram is InstaFOIAB.
At Insta.
Yes.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, 9.2, discussion and possible action regarding proposed wayfinding strategy consultant.
All right, good evening, board of directors and everyone on Facebook and Zoom. My name is Katie Cox. I'm the recreation superintendent for the district. In correlation with the projects that we were talking about earlier in the village, to be specific, the district went out for an RFQ. It was released on September 13th and due on October 7th. We did receive submittals from 2 companies for a wayfinding proposal, which basically is a company consultant that will put together our standards for signs. So the design of the signs, the size of the signs, where certain signs go. They will advise us on where we need directional signs, emergency signs, everything that we need. So all of our parks in the whole district and our facilities look very nice and consistent and uniform. And people know where to go. Which if you've been in some of our parks, it could be questionable as to like, where is the work center? And so this will help with that. So the proposals came from 2 companies, which is the first one is Merge and Green Dot Transportation. And the other one is Cala, who the board is very aware of, but for the community, Cala is also the architect, the landscape architect doing the outside portion of the village project. So we are already working with them on that very large project. And so just to point out too, Merge is it's a national company, but they have offices in Chico. So we would have access to a local individual. And so the recommendation tonight, before I go into more detail, just to be specific, is district staff and the Community Resources Development Committee, which we met with, is recommending the board approve the selection of Merge and Green Dot Transportation Solutions as the district's wayfinding strategy firm. And just to give you a quick background, the point of the wayfinding specifically is establishing a shared sense of place within the community, oriented vehicle, pedestrian, and bicycle traffic with a system that is both logical and intuitive, increasing accessibility to key destinations and frequently used areas within the community. I'm not going to list all of their references as it is in the board report, which you can find online, but I will point out they've done quite a few projects in the state of California, like Cotati, Novato, downtown San Diego, Santa Cruz. I'm sure you all read those. They have an extensive background of references all over the US. So they definitely know what they're doing in terms of wayfinding strategies. If you Google search Merge, you will find samples of all of their projects. So it's really easy to see what they're probably going to give us specific for Fair Oaks. It outlines the project understanding and the methodology so that the board and the community can see the tasks and the order in which we would work with Merge on this project. And then finally, the end result is basically when we get through task 5, the goal is not only to have sign standards, this will also help us, which we did discuss with the Community Resources Committee, also getting some advice and feedback on third-party marketing in our parks and facilities, which would be sponsor banners at the bike park, Little League fields, all of that stuff. So sizes, who can have a banner up, and who would be restricted. And how long it can stay up, when it needs to come down, what sizes, letters, colors, everything. We get all of that from them. And so after that is done, the main goal of this too is to have a timeline and a budget for the parks. We would be recommending over approximately a 5-year period, which parks each fiscal year we would recommend we hit within that budget to get signs produced and installed in those parks. Because we really don't have the staffing, to be honest with you, to do all of our parks in one fiscal year. That would be a very large project. We have to get through the design process first, which is the fee that would be for Merge is the $59,950. That's all the design standards, everything we would need for that. That does not include the cost that we will incur to produce the signs and order them. For instance, when we did Kathy Jones Walk Path, we ordered those signs through a company called Fossil Graphics. That's what we would be doing once we have all these standards in place. And then we would typically be working with park staff to actually get them installed unless we choose to go another route, which is also an option in the future. We would be coming back to the board with that timeline, saying, year one, here's the parks we recommend, here's the estimated budget for that project. And we would likely also go out to RFP to select a sign company that we would purchase those signs from. So again, staff and the Community Resources Committee is recommending the selection of Merge and Green Dot Transportation Solutions as our consultant to move forward on this project.
Raymond and I, we met with staff on this, and we had a number of questions about the two firms. And my initial issue was the fact that this group is an out-of-town group, but I didn't read the fine print. They're national, but they also have an office in Chico. They've done a lot of good work, and I'm comfortable with it and support the staff recommendation. The other thing that I raised as part of this whole discussion was, Ralph, I think you would enjoy this and appreciate being part of this, is for each of our parks, we have at least on that, the sign that describes the park or whatever it is, some of the provenance of the park, when it was required and how it was required, how it was acquired. Just something, some simple statement about, how we got it.
Yeah, there's a lot of interpretive things that could be done. For example, in our Fair Oaks Park, some interpretations of Blue Oak Grove and things like that. Katie, can I ask a question? Would the design that we're paying for here, would they actually design the panels and do the content?
Yes, they would
And they
work
give
with
us
staff.
the
for
camera-ready
design.
stuff to go to contract?
They would give us a basic
Yeah.
template. So basically, they're not gonna design every single sign. They're gonna give us, so if you have interpretive signs, if you want that in each park, they're going to design a template for that sign. And then once we're done, we would have that and be able to just input the information ourselves for each of the separate parts and send it order through to the company that we choose to work with.
See, having done thousands of those for the state and then doing the Bluff Donor Plaza and the history thing and the triangle and stuff, the work really goes into the content and the graphics of that. We have a local person, Diane Shackle, who's done both the Bluff Donor Plaza and the triangle there. It's an enormous amount of work to refine down the text and do the pictures and do the composition. So that's a lot to bite off for staff. I think we ought to be looking ahead for a contract to do that. So we're paying the 59 just to get basically a style and the kind of mountings and things that we would do.
It will be a design of that sign. So it's just, you could have 2 picture points if that's what you want, and then the text on the left or the right. I mean, that part, I think if we can get the text from our historical documents or Ralph. We can-
Staff though would have to develop. the
Sure, like
text
I
and
did with the
picture.
Kathy Jones walk path, it would just be
Yeah.
that, but times 11 parts. Give or take. So, and some of the parks like Little Phoenix, I'm not sure how much interpretation you can have there.
And the big lift here is all the other signs. The interpretive signs are a lot of work, there's no question. But the big lift for us is that every sign and everything that we have in the parks. I mean, it's not just the interpretive piece. It's everything from the no smoking sign to the parking signs.
Right, they will give recommendations on really what the bare minimum is, and so that we don't have this blanketed. If you go to Village Park right now, you can see 8 to 12 different designs. Some of them that say the exact same thing in a different way. Some of them are green, some of them are blue, some are yellow, and it just, it's colorful, but it doesn't look like one entity owns that park, operates that park. It looks like a bunch of different entities came and staked the sign and then walked away.
Yeah.
And
And that's,
what we want is a look and feel that says, oh, I don't even have to look, I can see a color scheme, and I know this is a Fair Oaks Recreation Park District park. And you can see that in some other parks like Roseville. You can see that they have a consistent look and feel. You don't even have to know you're in Roseville to just look at the sign and be like, this is a Roseville park.
yeah, it's really important to have that style of branding. It steps things up nicely.
And I will point out what I did look, it's in the report, but I didn't say it verbally. We proposed to fund this sign standards through Measure J funds.
Question, one more question, Mike. Remember we were getting those interactive kiosks, that we were gonna put a couple sample ones in. Is that still alive or did that die?
Oh, no, they're in. Yeah,
There they are.
Yeah, we got 5 in.
I gotta get out.
The Stupa signs are in and staff has been working with Stupa because, I mean, they're fairly new as well, and working through the process of how frequently we want things to rotate and some Eastern versus our timing issues and stuff like that. There's always kinks to work out with that, but it's been great. It also monitors when people walk by. It does have a people counter concept. You can kind of generally, so you can get an idea on how many people in the park in a given day.
I am happy to make a motion to approve the selection of Merge and Green Dot Transportation Solutions as the district's wayfinding strategy consulting firm.
Second.
Further discussion?
When would this start?
Well, that is up to us. My next step will be to contact them to let them know they're selected, and they will honestly give us a timeline as to how we get started. So I would say
I'm just
probably
wondering
in
if it-
January, we'll kick off the conversation with them.
I'm just wondering if it's like appropriate to start before we have like a lot of the completed stuff down in the village.
I don't think we'll get into any of the nuts and bolts until the bid documents go out for the village and come back. Because with the holidays, there's a lot of information gathering that happens way before we start actually having meetings.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
good job. Thanks, Dave.
With the help of community partners and all, we can probably start working up some of the content for the interpretive things.
Okay, now that this next item is probably the most important item on the agenda as far as I'm concerned. So discussion and possible action regarding the annual board of directors selection of chair and vice chair for 2022. I'd like to make the motion that Raymond James Irwin become the board chair, and Darren Mounts be the vice chair.
Second that. Is this what you call your escape clause?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Beautiful. There you go, brother.
You just got the monkey on your back. No, it's kidding.
Thank you, going Cheryl Farrell. So I think we'll move on then to 9.4. Action regarding annual board directors meeting calendar and committee assignments for 2022. So far, we've been meeting the third Wednesday. I don't think there's really any board or staff report here.
There's just one thing I want to note, and that is that December of 2022, you have the option of meeting on the 21st, which is the third Wednesday, but typically chosen to do it the week before because of the holidays. I just want to point out that that's the date that's on the calendar, so 14th.
Does anyone on the board have any issues with that date? With me, so then we'll keep the 21st.
The 14th.
The 14th is what we have on the
We're
calendar,
not gonna have it on the 21st, we're gonna have it on the 14th.
Yes.
unless you
Oh, okay.
like.
Is that what you all prefer?
Yeah.
14th? Okay, then that's fine. Sorry, I misunderstood. Yep, so let's keep the 14th.
I'll make a motion to adopt the proposed 2022 meeting schedule as noted on attachment B.
Okay, I'll second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Great. 9.5. Discussion possible action on approval of revised salary schedule. Or no, committee assignments. Does anybody have any desire to move committees? If not, then what I would propose is who was ever vice chair, now be chair, chair be vice chair. Or whatever. What's that? Swap that. Everybody's okay with that?
That's a motion. I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Now 9.5, revised salary schedule to reflect on the wage increase.
This is the final minimum wage increase to $15 an hour. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. I've attached the proposed salary schedule, which raises all of our part-time minimum wage jobs up to $15 an hour, and then those that were slightly above that, we increased them 6.62%, which is the amount of the increase is $14.50. So to keep that structure in place that we had. So each of those, so those are highlighted on the salary schedule, ones that are.
And this is basically given by state law, so
Correct.
I'm gonna jump ahead and make a motion to approve the revised fiscal year 2022 salary schedule as shown in attachment A, effective January 1st, 2022.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Great. Okay, so now board and staff report. Let's start with directors. Going from my right to my left. Director Miani, do you have anything to report?
I just want to say that I really have been enjoying the rec calendar that was put together by staff. I thought there's just a lot of, it really kind of hits, I think, all the areas and all the groups and all the different types of people in Faro. It's been really fun to go to some of the events, like the tree lighting done on stage. And that was a great event. I thought there was a great turnout, and it was nice to see all the community partners out there too. So that was really, really nice. Even without the parade, I was kind of wondering how it would go without the parade. But I know everyone loves the parade, but it was really nice. So, and my kids took one of the sweets and treats class, and they loved it so much that they are insisting that we make the cookies again this weekend. So I just went and got all the ingredients. It was really cute. It was at the Filling Center. And it was funny because my kids are really used to having rep classes be sessions where you go like week after week. So I picked them up it was on Saturday. I picked them up and or maybe it was really big here, but I picked them up from the class and we get home. My son says, "Oh, so when's the next one? I can't wait for the next one." And I said, "Well, the next one's not till next year, until like next December." And he said, "What? Why can't Ms. Mary do it next week?" And I was like, "No, it was," I'd explain the difference, but it was,
For Valentine's Day.
they loved it. So,
Yeah,
and there was a good turnout that
Valentine's
night
Day
too,
too.
which was nice. Mary and Sabrina did a really good job. So awesome.
I'll give kudos to Kim from the chamber too, because she was instrumental in planning the whole month calendar as well, so it's been fun.
That's all I have.
Wonderful, Director Miles.
Well, I'll just start with saying, I think we made a good investment in that wood chipper. With the amount of trees that we've lost in the last, and probably gonna lose more tonight. No, I'd just like to mention, I was out at the Jim String Park ribbon cutting at the Christmas tree lighting, and I mean, all of the events that we've had recently have just been super well attended and really professionally put on. I think it's a really good touch and show for our community. I did have one question on the Gum Ranch. Where are we at with that? On the ribbon?
Well, that one was my staff update, so I can give that.
Oh, okay. We can save that for that.
Well, it's really quick. I just talked to Michael Hennington, and we are done with our fixes that the county identified. So those are all done now since when we thought we were gonna open it. And all we're waiting for is final permit approval, and he anticipates early January. So, I mean, it could come next week, but I think his anticipation is expected in the new year.
Yeah, and we may have a soft opening where we're not gonna, the fence is gonna come down once we take possession of the park. So we're not paying for the fence. And then we'll do the ribbon cutting, probably in January. Okay. So there may be a soft opening.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was Director O'Farrell, myself, and Rich Desmond have had a couple of meetings with Mike. And I think everybody's sort of addressing the situation, but we're sort of looking at potential exploring options with possibly doing something in Sailor Bar. So I was gonna ask Mike and staff maybe to come up with some sort of overlay of a footprint of the property. So that we can start brainstorming and see like what could potentially work and what not. So I think it's really important to come to them with something that is concrete in what our plans are, in bike trail, cross-country trail, park, potential little mountain bike stuff, so.
Yeah, and it is on my list to do, and so.
Yeah, we talked about it in our last meeting, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Was anything mentioned just kind of about what's going on with the project within, or about the hurdles we've been facing, that needed?
Yes. Put most of them.
Okay.
Echoing what Darren said, you know, everything that we've been doing has just been a huge success. You know, the ribbon cutting ceremony, the tree lighting, I was shocked at how many people were there. And I didn't get there until 5:30, when I know that Katie said that more than 1,000 people had gone through there, or were there.
Oh, yeah.
It
Some of
was-
our vendors sold out.
It was a delight to meet our honorary mayor, Penny Howard. She is a kick. I want to be her when I'm almost 100 years old, you know?
Be 109.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And the party last night was great. Really enjoyed that. That was cool. And, you know, we're sharing something in the village with our village partners. You know, even though the Fair Oaks Brew Pub is not an official partner, it should have the honorary title of an unofficial partner, because most of us spend a lot of time. That's all I got.
Yeah, well, I have a complaint. I missed the party because I was coming back on the plane, so I was very disappointed with that. But I understand. Yeah, I just want to emphasize even more what Belinda said about the events we've had lately. The Jim String ribbon cutting was wonderful. I know it was so heartwarming to Jim and Mary Jo. And I was at the Christmas tree lighting from just before it officially started till everybody was leaving at the end. And I just was so emotionally taken by what a good job you did and how the community showed up, and what a wonderful venue that was for that. You know, even if we go back to the village with a tree, I think we ought to have a second tree. You know, and it shows that our staff really knows how to put on a good event.
Yeah,
You guys
Sabrina,
thought it-
Mary, and Kim really put a great event together.
It was incredible.
Well, Katie was hoarse by the end of the evening. I know
Yeah.
that.
It's hard to talk
That's
when
it.
it's cold.
Well, I don't have anything other than very excited to be chair this year and looking forward to a good year.
We don't have to have champagne every meeting.
I know, but just every other, right? Just every other. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, well, please, staff.
And I think maybe Sean, do you have anything?
Yeah. Good evening, Board of Directors. Apologize for being remote. I'm moving house tonight. I've got just a brief little chat with you just to show kind of the effects of the weather we've been having out there in the parks. I'm sure you're all aware how nasty the wind and the rain was the last couple of days, and wanted to share how hardworking my crew has been to clean up the mess that is caused. We have lost a number of trees just due to the wind, some half trees, some whole trees. And if Ian, if you're prepared, you could cue up the imagery, and I'll shut off my video and I'll just talk over it a little bit. So yeah, we've lost trees at Miller Park. We lost trees at Fair Oaks Park. There's some small trees down in almost every single park. We've got a time lapse here of one of the trees out at looks like Miller Park here. This was just a half tree. My guys worked all day the day after the first heavy storm. They worked today on several trees that came down afterwards. It's just all over the place. It's a reminder that though we may not all be enjoying the parks when it's rainy and it's cold and it's windy out there, everything's still happening. This tree came down over the playground at Fair Oaks Park. It had some structural issues previously, but an arborist had told us it was strong for some years yet. Unfortunately, a wind event like we had the other day just is gonna wreak havoc on it. Thankfully, no equipment or other things that have monetary values were damaged. And because of the rain and the wind, nobody was out enjoying the parks. So an incident without any victims on that one. I believe we have a couple more pictures. Yeah, so this is over next to Earl Leggett on the far south edge of the disc golf course. And you can just pop through them real quick, Ian. Unless there are no more.
No more.
That's it.
Okay, well, that's it. Just wanted to give you a sense of what's going on in the parks and what the weather does to us. And I hope it's interesting for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Good work, Sean.
I don't.
Katie gave hers. Do you have anything else, Katie?
I was just gonna point out what they already did, just saying thanks to the staff for everything. We sold out Santa stops almost instantaneously. They're doing stops right now tonight. I'll be the driver for tomorrow night. So if you see the Durango with lit up presents on top of it and lights, that's us doing Santa stops. So bless Kim and Sabrina, they're doing it in the rain tonight, which is probably not super fun, but the kids just love it. So taking Santa around, but it's been a blast doing the December events. I feel fortunate to have a director, administrator, and a board that lets us do stuff, that many things. But I felt like after COVID, we really needed to just have a really merry and jolly December. So we figured out a way to do that. So thank you.
Well, it's
And thank you,
impressive.
John, for doing the announcing at the event. Really appreciate
Based
it.
on Rocky, me and Denny.
Yeah.
And you.
It is very impressive, all the creativity, the innovation and the hard work you guys have done, you know, given COVID, it's been amazing.
Thank you.
I just had a couple of things, and one is just more of a reconfirmation from you all, is the fact that we have a $75,000 expenditure coming up for the fiber, the high-speed fiber, for the village hall, the clubhouse, and the amphitheater, and then public Wi-Fi throughout the parks. And so just making you aware that that's going to come up. It kind of hurt me when I saw that figure. I want to make certain that you all still were as gung ho as we are about it before we signed that agreement with Comcast to schedule that work. So.
Modernize, charge forward.
Is that the capital to put the facilities in, or is there an ongoing fee for all that?
There'll be an ongoing fee as well. Yeah.
And we're doing that at all of our parks?
No,
or
this
some?
is just the village plaza park area.
Okay.
That'll be part of Measure J. So that fund will be part of the overall project cost.
We don't have any of that capability at McMillan Center?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not at this time.
When that's the subdivision.
You have the time on
For
that? Fiber?
I mean, we had planned to start construction when the park was under construction, so that we would be able to trench underneath the park without ripping up any brand new grass or anything like that. So that's the time frame that we're looking at, and then to have it completed before we.
So we're paying 75,000, potentially 6 or 8 months before we break ground.
No, it'll be during the construction window, but it'll be a separate line item outside.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Just like the wayfinding signs, a separate line item outside.
Great. Mike, anything
And
else?
then the grant update, I had a request, just kind of give you a quick update. I did send out an email, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, that we got denied the 5.9 million out of Prop 68 for round 4. That was for ADA improvements at the clubhouse. So that's our second denial on that project from Prop 68. So we're then applying for that.
You don't get 3 strikes?
There's only 2 rounds that we could apply for, so that's it.
And Mike,
We do have one more, out for that, one more grant application. We don't have an answer for that.
was it the same reasoning as it was last time?
They had, I didn't bring the thing here, but let's just say they had $460 billion, and it is a B, of projects, and they had 100 some odd million of dollars. So it was, yeah, we weren't probably even close.
So the last one is the congressional one?
Yes.
On Barrow's office?
Yes, and that's for 4.2 million, so it's like.
We better start doing some lobbying.
Yeah.
And that's the one we felt a little bit more positive about. Right?
Yeah, more than Prop 68 with.
Okay.
But we haven't heard anything for a while, so we're a little hesitant on that. We did receive the 50,000 for the electric vehicle charging stations. That's a reimbursable. So that will happen after we construct. And, those will should cover the 7 electric vehicle charging stations. And then we're still working on, we do have the Ryer grant from Prop 68 for 250.
And then we have the Prop 68 per capita at 172,900. So that's where we're at right now with the grants. It's a non-ending process. We can continue to look. I did look at the Land and Water Conservation Fund as a possibility for Fair Oaks Park, for the pickleball courts and for the skate park. But the restrictions around that were, I believe, too restrictive. So I am not putting an application in. It would not allow us to build structures in the park ever. So that's a hard thing to say.
Now, the county is receiving some of the federal money, and I believe each supervisor has a discretionary pot of some money. I don't know if it's $500,000 or whatever, but can we ask for some of that?
I've been working with them on FOBEC on that a little bit. It's an economic driver. So that's the intent. There's three pods, and I might get one of them. I know two of them for sure. One's homeless and the other's economic driving or economic recovery. And I can't recall what the third one is off the top of my head. None of them fit within the recreational structure. But we did look at through FOBEC, we looked at the park.
Right.
And we were discouraged from applying for that because they really had a different window of things they wanted to have that funding go to.
Yeah.
So it wasn't within that part.
Well, with all the money that's supposed to be coming out of the feds, it's been a long-standing need to get some parking in the village, and with what we're doing there, it's going to be even further aggravated. So I hope we can join with some other partners and keep pushing that agenda to get a parking structure there.
If we do parking, it will be through a third entity or a second entity like FOBEC, and we'll be a partner within that.
Well, certainly, it's not going to be our water provider.
And then finally, we do have a little video we need to shoot tonight. Hopefully you can all stay a few minutes. It shouldn't take very long. It's a Christmas holiday greeting video that we're producing and we'll be showing to the public, and we'd love the board to be one of the holiday greetings. It shouldn't take very long. So if that's all right, we'll have that right after you adjourn.
Great, okay. Well, is there a motion to adjourn to a regular meeting of January 19th?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion, seconded, all in favor? Aye. Very good, see you in January. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Okay.